Okay, so the goal of this lesson is for students to look at radiant angles and the coordinates associated with those angles on the unit circle. So they'll basically be marking and labeling angles and coordinates on the unit circle. So the intro or the launch, it's a really great activity that helps them, that really sets them up to do this in the Explore. So essentially what's happening in this intro activity, students are going to be looking at a unit circle and it's cut into 12 equal pieces. And so they're going to be looking at this unit circle. It's cut into 12 equal pieces. The only thing that's been marked on there is one piece, which is pi over 6 radians. And students will be asked to take about, a minute of think time to look at this image and then think about, what they notice and what they wonder. And so there's two ways that you can execute this activity virtually. One way is through Jamboard. So I'm going to show you what that looks like right now. So this is an example of what the intro activity will look like on Jamboard. So you'll notice that I put the image of the unit circle right here. I took a screenshot of it and I just inserted the image by clicking on Add Image and just pick the file. And then I just wrote down, what do you notice? What do you wonder? Now, you'll see that I wrote yellow sticky, pink sticky. The reason for that is what I would do with my students is I would ask them to write down their noticings in one color and wonderings in another. And so what students would do is they would go over to this button right here. This is the sticky note. And if you click on it, you'll see there's all these different colors, right? So I would ask my students to make sure to click on the yellow when they're writing down their noticing. So what's one thing that students might notice? It looks like a clock, right? I would press save and then the post-it is literally right on your Jamboard. Now you can move it around, you can make it bigger, but yeah, that's your first sticky. And then something that you might wonder, what students might wonder, right? They might wonder, what are the units on the grid? Now, before writing it, I would remind students to make sure they click on the pink sticky to write down their wonderings. And then, just write, what are the units on the grid? Now, once they have that, again, it'll just pop up directly on the Jamboard. I would also encourage my students and really request them to move all of their pink stickies to the right of the circle. So you have all of the noticings on the left side of your unit circle and all of your wonderings on the right side of the unit circle. This definitely, keeps it organized. And it's also just, aesthetically pleasing, and it's very easy to sort of see what the students have noticed, what the students have wondered about. So that's one tool that you can use to execute the intro. Now, a couple of things. I know some teachers have issues with Jamboard because students kind of have, free reign over everything here, in the sense that they can literally click on anything here and erase it, right? They could click on the image that you inserted and erase it. And they can also erase other students' sticky notes. So in terms of the images that you might put on, you can also set this image as a background. If you click on set background, you can pick an image and then put that unit circle in the back. That's one way that you can sort of make sure that at least the image doesn't disappear. But in terms of the sticky notes, right, you don't really have any say over that. So if you want to have a little bit more control over the actual board that students are collaborating on, another tool that you could use is Nearpod. And you can basically create 2 collaboration boards. So I've done that here and you can see, you can do 1 or 2 collaboration boards. So when you click on, this is the student preview of what a Nearpod collaboration board would look like. So students would see the image and again, it says, what do you notice? So if a student writes something down, it would say, again, it looks like a clock. When they post it, it automatically posts, right? So again, it says it looks like a clock. And so this could be one collaboration board where you notice, you write down your noticings. And then if you go to the second collaboration board, you'll see it says, what do you wonder? So this is another great tool that you could use virtually. And the reason why some teachers, you might like this better is because first of all, you can monitor what students are posting. So this is the student preview, but when you're in the teacher preview dashboard, you'll see that there's an option for you to approve of every post before actually, sending it onto the board. So in case anybody says anything inappropriate, you don't have to post that one. And then also, just like with Jamboard, you can anonymize students, you can anonymize their names. So 2 different tools that you can use, both work really, really well. Now, just in terms of like what else you can expect from students, right? What do you expect students to notice besides looking like a clock? Hopefully they'll say that the circle is broken up into 12 equal pieces, right? And if that one piece is pi over 6 radians, the one that was marked, then the full circle is 2 pi radians. And some things that students may wonder, are all the angles between segments the same, right? Great wondering. Is the second angle measurement in quadrant 1 twice the size of the first? So just a couple of things that students might say. Hopefully they'll say a whole lot more. And so you want to give them time to post their noticings and their wonderings. And then you want to ask students, is there anything that you're wondering about now? Because I'm sure when students start to see what their peers are posting, they'll start to wonder other things. So definitely encourage them to keep posting any noticings and wonderings while you go. Now, the whole purpose of this activity is really to highlight the relationship between the angles, right? That's an important discussion piece because that leads into the explore. So if identifying specific angle measurements, if it doesn't come up, then ask the students, right? Ask the students what they think the measurements are. And remind them, right? It's on a unit circle and angles are measured from the starting ray on the positive axis and it goes counterclockwise. So if it didn't come up, gives kids, some more time to think, some quiet think time, and then really encourage students to suggest certain measurements of certain angles, right? And what's great is that if you're on Zoom and you're sharing your screen to show the Jamboard, you can annotate it. You can have students annotate it or you can annotate it yourself. So if I were the teacher here and I were to say, all right, well, let's look at some of these angle measurements, right? What do you think some of these angle measurements were? So what I would do is I would go to the annotate button and I would literally start drawing on the Jamboard using my annotate button, right? And if I were to ask students, okay, well, if I look at this angle right here, how many radians would this be, right? And really encourage students to think about what that is, considering that it's, split into 12 equal pieces and only one piece is pi over 6. So once you start to encourage students to really think about it, you want to definitely record these measurements on the image. So I could literally just write that this would be pi over 2 radians, right? And you can keep doing that with a couple of different measurements. So this is a great launch activity that leads into the explore activity, which is really looking at the structure of radian angles in the unit circle. And that's it.